generally, like, things didn't piss me off too much, okay? She has a gigantic mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The whole family does.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that because doing the rewatch, I noticed her mouth and I'm like, wait, is she Ponyo?
Dude,
They make her look like that.
she has to have a mouth that big to take that giant wolf dick. Right?
I want to go home.
Okay, you want to do the clippy clappy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're the new clippy clappier.
I'm better at it than you, so.
You know, fuck you, you're not. I have much more experience. That's right, motherfucker.
Sexy wolves.
Sexy wolves.
Are you ready?
Oh, we're gonna get into it.
What's up?
What's up?
Hello,
What's
hello.
up? What's up?
We're
Welcome back. We're back.
We are back in the studio.
Studio.
Schmudio.
Studio.
Studio Schmudio.
Yeah, I like
All right, welcome back to Anime Shmanime,
What's up?
where we try to convince our good buddy here, I don't know, Shirty McShirtster.
It's no shirty, no shirtster.
Yeah.
Also, can I just point out that I appreciate that you still refer to me as good buddy after all these episodes.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Yeah, we're overlooking a lot.
Yeah,
When we say
Yeah,
that.
I ignore it. And there's also like a level of like repressing memories.
Okay, let's
That
move
happened.
on. Let's move on.
So what's on the docket today, fellas?
I didn't finish my thought.
Oh,
Finish your thought.
Finish your
man.
thought.
Or my intro,
Finish your intro.
where we try to convince this fucker.
But now he hates me. I was a good buddy. Now I'm
he's
this
this
fucker.
fucker.
To like anime as much as we do. Except I know coming into this particular one, Jay's got some opinions.
I might need the convincing this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know on this one, guys.
But guys, we are doing Wolf Children, and we are going to spoil the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
So get ready. So yeah,
Word.
word.
So instead of a description, I'm going to rename the movie.
Okay.
Or a subtitle, maybe. It's called My Mom Fucked a Wolf, and Now Life's Hard and Confusing. But not for the reason you think it is.
I mean, it's
Right.
accurate.
Yeah.
It's accurate.
Yeah, like
there's
if
no lie
let's
there.
say you didn't become a wolf child from your mom fucking the wolf,
Yeah.
but she still fucked the wolf, your life's still hard and confusing.
Yeah, it's just for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. But let's be real here. This is a masterpiece. It's a.
I don't know if I would use that word.
No, okay, fine. It may not be a masterpiece, but it is a great, like, fun movie. I definitely did a rewatch of this one because I hadn't watched it. Like, I watched this like a couple years after it released, but I forgot a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a few scenes where I'm like, and especially after watching Beastars.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
I don't
You
know.
haven't
I
seen
know
You haven't
what it
seen
is, but I haven't seen it.
Motherfucker, y'all need to watch it more anime.
You need to force me to.
We're watching as much as we possibly can at this point.
Literally, I cannot watch anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, but this is a good fun movie. This is like a cute at home thing, but we're about to ruin that.
Yeah. I mean, to respond to you, I'll say that, like,
Yeah.
surprisingly, probably, I did find a lot of enjoyment in watching this movie.
Yeah, some parts are like really wholesome.
There's a lot of wholesomeness, and like there's a lot of interesting things in it. Some of them were on the good side of interesting, some
Yeah.
of them on the bad side of interesting.
Yeah.
Right?
I won't say I was checked out the entire time, but
Sure.
there were
Yeah.
some massive choices made with this film that
Yes.
I'm just puzzled by.
Like
Sure.
the 36 montages.
This
Yeah.
movie has so many fucking montages. The
Yeah.
first 30 minutes, there's like 8 montages.
Yeah.
It's like they want to show, and I get it. Like this is really common in a lot of anime films
Yeah.
is montages like of around Japan or around people doing chores or running errands or just kind of growing their life.
Well, there was
But
a
this
lot of-
happens like 8 times in this film.
I mean, there was a lot of moments in this film where they had to move to the next phase of life, and they wanted to set it up for you without it being jarring. And
Yeah.
instead of like writing it into the plot, They just dropped you a bunch of scenes in a row, right? Like that's
Yeah,
what a
which is
montage
nice.
does. They just, you're right, did it a lot in this movie.
Yeah, but I mean, they I don't think. Okay, I agree that they had a lot in there, but I think they were necessary for this movie. They could have maybe cut out a few of the clips within some of those montages.
Yeah.
But like when they're growing up and they're going through the different like school years.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's you needed that for them to like age up in the movie.
Yeah,
right?
well, and
So-
even her and her wolf lover getting to know each other, like
Yeah.
there was no time to make that a large chunk of plot.
Yeah.
They had to kind of breeze you through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and here, listen, like I said, I know it's common trope. I usually don't mind it because sometimes they're really beautiful, vignettes of a certain area of Japan, and you see some really beautiful landscapes in this one as they're going through and
Totally.
whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I didn't need to see 10 minutes of her learning to garden.
Yeah.
there's a much more succinct way of establishing that she can't garden
Yeah.
and needs help.
Well,
It doesn't
yeah.
need to be a 15-minute padding of the runtime.
That one is specifically weird because in this movie, they also showed it to you in the proper way.
Right.
You got a montage and it was worked into the plot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So it
but-
felt like a waste of time.
I don't know. I enjoyed it, and I do.
Of course you did.
No, but like but it has that slice of life feel again, right? Where we're like, you're going through the struggles and you're seeing her like try to put on that face,
Yeah.
the smile to keep it together for her kids,
Yeah.
and
This didn't feel like a slice of life movie to me though. Like this, it obviously had some elements of that, but like
Yeah.
it felt like the real driving factor in this movie was like it was the fantasy element of her raising supernatural children, basically.
yeah,
right?
there's
So,
a
like,
I'm actually going to disagree with you there because I think the main point of this movie is she's a single mom. And a lot of the shit she's dealing with, aside from her kids being wolves, is just single mom shit. You know what I mean? Or like general parenting shit. Like she has one kid who's meek and one kid who's too energetic and a little bit hyper. Like you don't have to be wolves to have that problem. Do you know what I mean?
there's definitely parallels,
Your
but
hus-
like
your
it
hu-
is
yeah.
unique that they are.
I'm not saying that's not unique,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that the driving factor and the main like vision of the movie when you're watching it, if you removed a lot of the wolf elements, a lot of the learning to garden, the moving out of town, that's just regular parenting shit that could occur. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and I also think too something that I think people might like miss a little bit is, like let's say like we take the wolf aspect out of it and it's a biracial couple, right? And
Sure.
then you have like growing up, like I know for
Yeah.
having a couple biracial friends,
Yeah.
sometimes like they don't know
Yeah.
what side of the racial spectrum that
Mommy, why are wolves always the bad guy?
they yeah.
Right?
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
if which part do you identify with more, right? Or,
Yeah.
Like if I'm like half white, like if like my wife and I had kids, they would be biracial, and
Yep.
would they identify more as Korean or would they identify more
Yeah.
as the Caucasian side, right?
Well, and that's why, again, sorry, Jay, to disagree, but that's why I'm saying it is more slice of life than it seems because you take all those wolf elements out and there's all these real life themes that
Yeah,
are
but-
pervasive.
Right, but like even still it's not slice of life because slice of life is it's the levity of life.
Yeah.
Nothing about this brings
No.
levity. This is struggle. This is strife.
they lean
through
really
and through,
hard.
and that's not slice of life is about not stress.
Okay.
This is a stressful and her life is a stressful endeavor from the time she fucks that wolf until the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
let's
is
talk
pain.
No. So slice. I think personally, slice of life is literally a piece out of someone's life, right? Like. And sure, we have
by
seen-
definition.
By definition,
Yeah.
But we've seen the slice of life mainly portrayed in that sense, where it's like, calm, collected. But this is slice of life. This is like, life is pain. Life is suffering.
Right. I'm just saying, like,
all life is suffering.
if you want to get literal with the definition
Yeah.
of slice of life, I agree. But
Yeah.
anime does not present slice of life genre shows like this.
Right.
This is heavier than any
But
slice of life you're going to get.
Isn't Silent Voice a slice of life?
It has slice of life elements to it.
Okay.
Again, the fun teenage high
Yeah.
school friendships that they build. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah.
Like going to the fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some heavy shit happens at the
Yeah,
fair.
we
but-
didn't get a baseball scene. We didn't
but
get a cultural
yeah,
festival
they're
scene.
still-
What
you
the
know,
hell?
They're not going to cafes and getting fluffy pancakes
Yeah.
with each other. You
Good
know what I
point.
mean? Like
Good point.
It's that levity that comes with slice of life. This
Yeah.
is a drama.
Yeah.
This is a very dramatic movie. There's very little levity.
Yeah.
It's
Drama.
It's little flashes here and there, and it's just So like that's why I think like this you cannot have this movie without them being wolves.
I mean, it wouldn't hit. It wouldn't. It wouldn't make it as big. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
popular because people wouldn't watch it. They wouldn't care to see it.
But I'm just saying, I understand what you're saying, like how there's obviously undertones of like very real parenting stuff in this,
Yeah.
and relationship stuff in this, the same way there are in any human story, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But like this is, you're left with 20% of a movie if you take out the wolves.
I hear you, and you're right. Even if you were to release a drama without
Yeah.
the wolves, just a drama movie, it's boring. The
But,
wolves,
but-
the wolves add that element that bring it up to the next level.
But I would argue if we took the wolf element out, like you're saying, and then we substitute
You're
that with
substituting. I'm not talking about substituting.
you're talking about removing.
Yeah, because
and
this
I
is what I'm
agree.
saying.
but-
How like the focus
yeah.
of this movie, it is the fact that they're wolves.
But what I'm saying actually is that the focus of the movie is not the wolves, and the wolves is like a translucent layer they put over top of all this other existing human kind of feelings and emotions.
But every story beat relies on it.
Not
true.
necessarily,
Okay,
dude.
so
Like what?
if we take
Like as an example, like I already said, right? She's parenting. Take
Yeah.
the wolves out, she's still just parenting. Okay. Also, not to
That's
mention,
too general. Give me a specific example of a situation she found herself in
yeah.
that didn't hinge on her kids being wolves.
Well, again, take the wolf out and make them biracial, and
Yes.
all those elements are still exist, right?
100%.
And
but-
not to mention
yeah.
also the whole
That's
point
not
of the
this
movie.
But that
No,
is
I'm not,
this
but
movie.
that's what I'm
That
saying,
is this
dude.
movie. If you take out the wolf element, you have to replace it with something else because the whole
because otherwise
point
you're
of the,
left with no movie. This is the point I'm trying to make,
this
guys.
This is what I'm saying. Is in order to substitute it out with like a biracial couple would make sense because that's the
I
whole
agree.
point.
I agree
right?
it would make sense, but that's not what I'm talking about doing here. I'm talking about too much
All
of
right,
this
fine,
movie.
fuck it.
No.
Move on.
Too much
Yeah,
of this
yeah.
movie relies on the wolf thing.
No,
And
no.
I wasn't crazy about the wolf thing, so therefore too
Yeah,
much
but
of this
you
movie
ha-
fell flat.
you have
that
some weird thing.
That 10%
Yeah.
that was heartwarming single parenting motherhood type stuff, it was heartwarming.
Yeah.
It made me like these characters. It helped kind of push their character development forward.
Yeah.
I will say I felt it all to be incredibly predictable.
And heavy-handed
and
as hell.
It was like,
Yeah,
can
I
we
agree.
have some subtlety here, some
Yeah.
artistic
Yeah.
metaphor or something? But it was just very on the nose.
Yeah.
It felt very. I've seen this story a million times before.
Yeah.
You know, so I struggle to find anything outside of like some animation moments that like I really connected to on this.
But I feel like your biased opinion about having the weird thing about anamorphic things also comes into play.
Anthropomorphic animals
Yeah.
like that couldn't not be in my head. Like
Well, that's literally the theme of the movie.
Yeah, it's werewolves, man.
I know, but I've seen werewolves done in other media where they don't try and like kind of keep them like sexy. You know what I mean? Or like
Yeah, okay,
they don't try and like
Yeah,
they're-
werewolves can be sexy.
the furry aspect of this.
We're not
okay?
king shaming.
We're not king shaming, but the furry aspect of this took me so far out of it.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Well, I had a hard time taking. We talked about how heavy-handed it was with the emotions and those like intense moments, but I couldn't take them as seriously as they wanted me to because she fucked a wolf.
Okay, let me ask
know
you
what I
guys
mean?
this. In that scene, because I totally like until I did the rewatch, I forgot about that scene.
Yeah.
Do you think that wolf, like, because it was like it wasn't in full wolf form, it was in like that werewolf form?
You want to know which form his dick took?
He does.
Yeah.
Because that's what he said when we watched it. He's just like,
like-
maybe it's bigger.
Maybe, or do you think it's?
I'm gonna go with I think wolves have little dicks in real life. I don't think they have big hanging dongs.
Do you think
big
it's
hanging
like
furry
a
dongs.
dog? Because dogs are like ancestors of the wolf. You think it's like
I
a red
think-
rocket?
Yeah, that's what I think.
I think we're outlining why you guys like this movie and I didn't. Right now. I don't think this has anything to do with making it into a biracial
I was just really
symbol.
feeling that like interspecies fuck
Yeah.
scenes. I was really
Feels like
feeling
it.
it.
Feels like it. You guys don't want to be critical of the wolf shit because you liked it.
Hey man, don't knock it till you tried it, I guess, right? And I haven't. So
I can knock it. I will.
Okay, Senpai, why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown on...
Alrighty. So
on the movie.
this is another Mamoru Hosoda film. We just did Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Yep.
There's a bunch that other people would know from him as well. I won't get too deep into him. But so wolf children are Okami Kodomo no Ame to Yuki.
Oh,
or
look at that.
Literal wolf children Ame
Hey,
and Yuki.
they didn't call it. I'm not gonna try it.
Yeah,
to do
don't.
It. Yeah.
Is a 2012 Japanese anime film directed and co-written by Mamoru Hosoda. Notice I said co-written. This was also written by Satoku Okudera, who is actually a screenwriter from Japan, and she is prevalent for working with him. She co-wrote The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Summer Wars,
Summer Wars was a
Wolf
great
Children, and also, funnily enough, a live-action film of Kiki's Delivery Service.
That exists.
Sure does.
Wow.
There's a lot of live action
Yeah.
that hurts me.
So
Is Kiki played by Scarlett Johansson?
Fuck off.
So this is the second original feature film directed by Hosoda and the first work written by him. The film stars the voices of Aoi Miyazaki, Takao Osawa, and Haru Kuroki. The story's central theme is parent and child, depicting 13 years in the life of a young woman, Hana, who falls in love with a werewolf while in college, and following his death must raise the resulting half-wolf, half-human siblings, Ame and Yuki, who grow and find their own paths in life. To create the film, Hosoda established Studio Chizu, which is his current studio, and used Yoshiyuki Sadamoto for the character design. People would know him as the character designer for Neon Genesis Evangelion. So that's a pretty huge accolade there. It had its premiere in Paris on June 25th, 2012, and was released theatrically in Japan on July 21st, 2012. The box office was the second highest grossing film in Japan on its debut weekend, beating out Pixar's Brave, which debuted in Japan on the same weekend.
Actually love that movie.
Same.
Yeah, Brave was great.
Way better movie.
We got a wolf child here.
The
Yeah,
films,
Neko.
the film subsequently surpassed Hosoda's previous work, Summer Wars, and totally grossed 4.2 billion yen, making it the fifth highest grossing movie in Japan in 2012. So it did well, but it was definitely not like a smash record breaker like we see with a lot of other.
I could have told you that without
films.
knowing that, having seen
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I really wasn't surprised,
Yeah.
but you know, it reviews really, really well. People really seem to like it, but one of the biggest criticisms that it gets is predictability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, sometimes that's what you want. It's like a rainy day movie. You just put it on. You've got nothing better to do.
Well, and whether you call it slice of life or not, that's what that genre tends to give you, right?
Yeah.
Something that's not. It's not going to be hard for your brain to figure it out while you're watching it, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thank you, senpai.
Thank you, buddy.
Arigato
Appreciate it.
gozaimasu.
I don't have anything to say about the world. We usually start off about the world, but there's literally not a thing to say. It's just Japan with werewolves, right?
As always,
Yeah.
and we'll lead into art.
Japan plus.
We'll lead into
Yeah,
art.
we'll lead
with
into art because the art is fucking amazing.
It was beautifully
Yeah. It
was
rendered
unbelievable.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you said too when we were watching the movie, because it's not often that they use red outlines.
So yeah, any of the dream sequence stuff that we saw, where they were
Yeah.
in like that glowy kind of ethereal looking, dream sequence. Yeah, literally dream sequence. Yeah, he outlines in red.
I didn't notice that, but I often don't. So
Yeah, and it just it adds a little something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like little attention to detail like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we just watched the second half of it all together, and the landscape scenes as well too are just fucking breathtaking, dude.
Super breathtaking.
And you see them a lot in anime, that kind of watercolored painted design, but like sometimes it just is next level. I got to give it to this film for doing it next level.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's one like huge point that this one got for me.
Yeah.
was beautifully rendered art. I mean, there were artistic choices and stylistic choices with some of the character design that like drives me crazy. And
Yeah.
we can definitely get into that right now. But
Yeah.
I will say the nature aspect of this was gorgeous.
Before we get into that, I want to make a point that's going to make you guys super happy, because I think I'm learning an appreciation for anime art.
Yeah.
Without knowing it's happening, but like, because this is in the first couple episodes we've done, if you had showed me this movie, I probably would have said it's kind of same on par with a lot of the movies that are like this. But after watching this movie, and maybe it's because the movie like didn't have much else going for it, that the art really stood out, but I like really appreciated it this time, whereas before, if you'd shown me this as one of our first couple movies, I probably would have been like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Looks like all the other anime movies.
Because now you're starting to see the differences.
Yeah.
Right. Like
The little subtleties.
the subtleties, or just artistic choices.
Yeah.
Even like when we watch like all the other, like, I don't know, just serialized anime.
Yeah.
Right. They have a certain look.
Yeah.
Right. And they always stick to that look because it's like the mass consumable look. But any kind of feature film, it's always going to they have like this nice wispiness and like whimsicalness that I really like.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So So which is really nice.
Okay, Jay, give me some of your hang-ups on the character design.
Okay. So let's get into this. All right. So, like generally, like things didn't piss me off too much. Okay. She has a gigantic mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The whole family does.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that because doing the rewatch, I noticed her mouth and I'm like, wait, is she Ponyo?
Dude,
They make her look like that.
she has to have a mouth that big to take that giant wolf dick. Right?
I want to go home. Listen, it was. I mean, it was a minor thing, but it kept popping up, and I was just like, okay, strange.
This has happened before, more often to me than not. The lips in Erased.
Erased.
That
Yeah,
destroyed
Mama's
me.
lips. Yeah,
the shapes of the faces in Initial D, they're all like banana shaped.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah.
That bothers
100%.
me usually. Yeah.
Yeah, so like little things like that, but like more importantly, the biggest style choice for this was, of course, the wolves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, the furry thing, very prevalent here. Okay?
Mostly with the
Yeah.
dad
Yes,
than anything else,
yes,
of course.
That's the first one you see,
Because he literally is like, I'm wearing a mascot costume.
basically.
Yeah.
Not to
No, because here's the thing. All right, here's the thing about mascot costumes versus like half humanoid animals. Right, mascot costumes is very like you're bulky and and like it's not. Look, I'm trying.
You're trying.
I'm trying.
You're trying.
Yeah. I like
It's
it. You
true,
can keep
it's true,
trying.
though. It's like, but when you're part humanoid, half wolf, like the fur and your physique are all growing from your skin. Where like a mascot costume is
You got extra
literally
layers,
that.
is
You have
what you're
all
saying.
these extra
So-
layers that and proportionately isn't there.
Right. So I'm not necessarily talking about like physical mascot costumes being like an issue here with the furry thing, because
Yeah.
it's more so like furry fan art that
Yeah.
exists online.
Yeah.
Literally draws their characters like
that,
this.
yeah.
Yes.
Like this is how
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
whole community likes to depict themselves in their
Yeah.
persona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, their profile pictures are all this fucking wolf dad.
We're
Uh,
doing
it's-
B stars next.
No,
We are
I'm
definitely
busy
doing-
that week.
I'm also busy that week.
Yeah, like I need years between that and this. Like it was just it's just off-putting to me because again, like it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
And then that transfers again into like the design of the kids, and when the kids transform, they keep their like human anime eyes
And hair.
and hair,
Yeah.
and like the human things that they keep in, I just think look absolutely ridiculous.
It was strange.
They look like
But
a
you-
little kid show level.
Even
of,
to the
like,
point where they're half and half, and like you see they've got like the claws on their human hands. I'm like, that looks weird too.
But
The opposable thumbs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
With
need,
the
but
claws?
you need that juxtaposition because then if you go full blown wolf, like even when you have Sensei in the movie where it's the fox, right? You can see the eyes and stuff.
I liked the way the Sensei was animated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the thing. That's too real, right? That's too real for a half wolf, half child, right? Like, you
Except
need
when
to
the
have that-
dad goes wolf, the dad went full wolf.
Yeah.
The dad
So-
didn't have anime eyes.
Exactly.
The dad,
human haircut.
The dad had slightly different. Though no, the dad had slightly different eyes, and then the dad also had the mane that was a little bit more.
But it was still a wolfish mane.
His head
Yes.
went more wolf, and I was hoping that the kids would also go more wolf. Like
Yeah.
one point you
But they're
see it is
kids.
when they're fighting.
yeah. Oh yeah, you do see it for a minute there.
For a
Yeah.
second, like their eyes are a little bit better, and then also, Ame at one point, actually right at the end when he drops her in the parking lot,
Yeah.
and starts to walk away. It's weird because no time has actually really passed between the last time you saw him as a wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you see him at the end and he drops her off, he is more wolf.
I want
He
that
looks
has to
more
be
like his dad.
symbolic because
He
at
looks
that
more like his
point we'll
dad.
get to it in plot, but at that point he is gone more wolf.
Yeah, he's
I
more
wonder if what
adult.
they're implying is that when they're in that kind of half and half stage is because part of the element of this movie is they have to figure out which path they want to take.
course.
That's the part of
Yes.
the point. And until they've decided, they don't really go too distinct in the way they look. Right
Now listen, I understand the choice
Yeah.
of having them be a little in between and in that middle ground. I'm just saying
it didn't look good.
it didn't suit my aesthetic sensibilities.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
didn't like the way they did that.
Yeah, sure.
I'm fine that they did it. I just would have probably drawn that significantly differently.
Yeah.
And to maintain their cute little kid vibes, right? But
I think I'm with you on that one, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it because it's like,
of course you did.
Listen, Listen here.
Okay.
Both of you little fuckers.
We're both bigger than you.
Shut up.
Okay, go ahead.
But what I'm saying though is like, especially for Ame, when he becomes more wolf, you can see like even in that scene when they're both fighting each other, right?
Yeah.
Like his eyes are starting to look more like Sensei's eyes.
Yeah, well,
right?
they do an important. They focus on his eyes a bunch as he's
Yeah.
transforming in the end. They're red now, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And I also think too, it's the fact that if you identify more wolf or you identify more human, right? Like that plays into how you're gonna look and like you're gonna
I think you're right.
have and you
Yeah.
need that though, right? Because you need to be able to, okay, again, sure, it's heavy-handed, whatever,
Yeah.
but having that aesthetic, it gives you the idea and it's nice.
I think what Jay was saying is that like the point of it and the idea of what they were trying to do
Fully on board.
works. The way it looked didn't.
So it's your subjective opinion that
It is. He was
That's
clear
why I
about
said
that.
it's my aesthetic sensibilities.
Yeah.
Don't align with this with
Okay.
these
That
choices.
part, yeah.
You know
That
what I
part.
mean? So like
Well, I don't agree
can't
with your-
I can't if you did, that'd be crazy because like I feel like no two people are identical in that way,
Yeah.
right? But I can't also overlook that as somebody who that draws a lot, that like is very into the artistic side of this.
Yeah.
That like art for me basically comes first with anime.
Yeah.
If I can get a good story and good character development, all this stuff, that's bonus.
Yeah.
For me, like the art has to work. Otherwise, I'm checked out for most of it.
Really?
And then I'm over relying on the plot to come through with like a thing to kind of grab me and catch me, and that's where I found myself actually. I'd say with a lot of this movie where I was like,
You
waiting.
wanted it. You wanted it
I was
so
waiting.
bad.
Like
yeah.
give me the thing that makes this
wow.
movie so celebrated and so great. I'm like waiting right to the very end. I'm like, give me the twist, give me the thing, give me that moment, that oh fuck moment. I think back to like, Weathering with You. They're falling through the fucking sky together. You know what I mean? Your Name. They're meeting each other at twilight. Like, what is the moment in this movie that is like, oh fuck, this is why this movie's huge?
I googled it before I watched it, just like to get a synopsis or whatever. And one of the comments on like Google reviews or whatever, the top one was like, "Holy fuck, this movie! I cried at the end." And then I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I know what I'm getting into." And then I get to the end, and I was like, "Who cried at this?"
I cry at everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm a fucking crier, big time. Didn't even come close in this movie.
And I feel the emotions when it comes to kids. We've established
well,
that.
that's
Yeah.
the big thing, right?
And I also
Yeah.
didn't cry at this movie.
Yeah, well, that's what, like I'm saying. It's a rainy day at home movie. It's nice. I think that if you're gonna redraw this, maybe the best way to draw it is to draw your finger to
Of course,
Subscription button. Yeah. I knew it right away, dude. I knew it.
I had a feeling, but I was like, could be, could not be, and then you went there. So go and draw your finger to the subscription button.
Please subscribe.
Subscribe, like, and subscribe. Help us out. Put on the notifications.
Yeah.
all that good stuff. Tell a buddy. Tell a friend. Okay.
It's funny somebody said they cried at the end because I actually think the saddest part of this movie by far is the beginning. And specifically when she has to watch her wolf husband
die.
get zipped up into a bag and thrown into the back of a garbage truck.
And and then the garbage truck like squeezes his body.
Yeah,
that was a heavy
him in.
moment.
That was intense.
That was a heavy moment
But
for sure.
what I like about that is that's like more realistic than you would think they would approach it. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was very like real life.
It was, and that made it really heavy. And I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
If this movie keeps up this level of drama and emotion, then maybe I'll get a crying moment like that.
But I'm still surprised like that you said that the animation and the art is what keeps you in. Because like anytime if and when I do drop an anime, it's not because of the art. It's always because of the story, right? Like so art is always second because I think that art, you're in a day and age, it's like video games, right? You should be able to make a good looking product no matter what.
You're thinking 90% of the time it's up to par, up to stuff.
It should be no matter what, right? Like there's really no excuse other than like maybe
Jay has
budget.
high standards for art. He's an art guy.
Yeah, it's true. I'm an art guy too, though, right?
I'm not. I don't know.
No, but like
But
something minor will like I agree. It may be peculiar. Like something so minor can really pull me out of something.
Yeah.
Like I think back to like a show like Baki and just the
Yeah,
fact
we were talking about that yesterday.
They often will put like an extra little bit of like curl on the nose, almost to like imply like a nostril or something. It's
It bothered you so much?
so minor,
But
but I'm like I won't watch this show.
Yeah.
over literally how they draw noses. Seriously, I
Amen.
So like, and it's always changing and evolving. Like my taste in things. There are shows that a few years ago I'd be like, I fucking hate that art style.
Yeah.
And now I watch it and I'm like, I fucking really dig this art style. Bleach is one that sticks out to me. Where when I was younger, I didn't really like the way it looked.
Yeah.
I've watched so much more anime now. My taste has kind of evolved and changed, and now I love the way Bleach looks.
Yeah.
So it's
All right.
See, my thing
hard
is,
to predict.
My thing is if it's 3D anime that pisses me off.
Oh, big time.
Yeah,
I
like-
hate it.
Like Initial D.
Not like Initial D. You're not wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but it's not quite because I can get by with like filler scenes than
So,
using 3D animation.
This is actually a good point to point this out. Is they did that in this movie as well too. The couple scenes where you hop into the perspective of the wolves as they're running
Yeah.
through, it's a little 3D.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
did it in a way. I don't know if they did some sort of filter or some sort of
2D
washing
pass
of it,
over top.
Yeah.
and it kind of looked more like that painted style, right?
Yeah.
So
It's how they generally are doing it these days with like
Yeah.
the 3D modeling. They'll go in and do a 2D pass over top of that to still maintain some
Yeah.
of that
it looks
hand-drawn
much
look.
better.
Well, that's the thing.
Much
Like
better.
Attack on Titans does it all the time, right? Like that to be able to get some of those crazy fast scenes
Yeah.
and like the action scenes.
All the Titan
Yeah.
fights, I think, post season 2
Yeah.
were done that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like I'm saying though, it's anytime there's a 3D point, like it is, and it's jarring,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Like I don't mind a little bit of filler, but if they try to bring it into like any of the main scenes,
I agree.
Nah, it's weird.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about music. So the classic piano score.
Yes,
And it's super emotional,
yes.
adding to the heavy-handedness of the emotions this movie already has.
But right
Yeah,
off the top, I even said to Mikey, I was
Yeah.
like, we often will mention that music just kind of blends in and just kind of does its job.
This didn't.
I noticed the music right away.
Me too, actually.
And
yeah.
I quite enjoyed it.
I didn't mind it either. It
Yeah.
still did its job.
Yes.
Just not in a way that is forgettable.
Right. It was
In a way that's memorable.
It felt like it was guiding us a little bit, like
Yeah.
setting the
It
tone.
was
Yeah.
it was a lot more epic in a lot of parts. I also think that because this movie had so many more montages, it needed something else to bring you in.
more
right?
music.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More
better music.
better
Yeah.
music. So I think the choices were there.
Well done. They
Right.
did it.
Yeah, they did it.
Yeah,
They did a good job. Yeah.
I got nothing against the music.
Me
in
neither.
this
Okay.
film. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to characters.
Let's
Yes.
do it.
We'll talk about Mama first and foremost.
Hana.
Hana. Okay, so she is a character archetype, right? But she's a bit of a twist on it. So she's a little bold for what that character usually is, right? Like in the first scene, you see her walk right up to this wolf dude and assert herself. Usually that character archetype is a little meek,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
reserved. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. And it also lended to her character moving forward the fact that she was taking all these risks. The whole movie is her taking risks and taking chances and learning new things. That's not usually what you see that kind of character doing, right?
Yeah, but I also think that when she got into like mom mode, it's like,
Yeah.
once you're a mom, like that switch,
Yeah.
or like when you're a parent, that switch happens. It's like, protect the kids,
Yeah.
protect the kids.
Sure.
Do anything for
And
the
that's
kids.
the thing.
right?
Like, it was it her taking risks or was it her?
Doing what needs to be done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
surviving. Self-preservation, scrambling, running.
You're right.
If a lot of it felt like escape. She was trying to escape and run away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? From
Yeah.
a lot of things.
Interesting, yeah.
Well, the persecution that would probably happen if people found out about fucking werewolves.
Okay.
I mean, like, think about it realistically. You find out this kid's a werewolf, like, people are going to come take you away and fucking experiment on you.
yeah, true.
Right? Like,
What's crazy is that in this world, there's no concern about people judging her for fucking the wolf in the first place.
No, they're just like, our audience likes this.
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Another thing about
Just a
her is
callback.
this element she has about smiling her way through everything,
Yes.
which is like not a good move in real life. Like part of me, every time that would come up,
Yeah.
I'd be like, get this girl into therapy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you know what I mean? She has an issue with regulating her emotions, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the problem, right? When you're in survival mode like that,
Yeah.
it's hard to even engage with that. Not to mention like the supports. I don't know what it's like in Japan as far as supports go, but like here you have to pay for that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, right? And she's living off her savings and trying to build a farm in order to even survive and eat.
Yeah.
Right. So
It's just even early on, she mentioned she's like, "Oh yeah, when my dad died, I smiled my way through his funeral," and I was like, "That's not okay."
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
it's
you need to
so-
feel those feelings in order to grow in a healthy way.
But it's so common, right? People
Yeah.
bottle things up
It's true.
all the time.
It's true,
right?
yeah, you're
Like
right.
even I have a problem with that.
Yeah, dude. Even when she's like meeting Wolf Dude in a regular situation where that
Yeah.
relationship would have ended immediately, he just stands her up and she just
Yeah.
sits on the curb
Yeah,
crying,
and just
and then
cry.
he shows up and she smiles and she's fine
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, not that motherfucker.
Yeah, stand up for yourself.
Yeah, that guy did you dirty.
Yeah, no, it's weird. It's weird, right? Because it in some aspects I get it too, right? Like
Yeah.
Because sometimes there are moments where if you just smile through it and bear it, and it's character building at the same time. But other moments definitely need to process and talk it out with somebody.
And here's
or-
my thought
yeah.
about it in this movie specifically is like it ends up working for her.
Yeah.
It gets her where she needs to be. You know what I mean? And so like you can't fault it if it works, but at the same time, like on a general level, that's not the best way to go about life.
No,
right?
but it just also shows to her perseverance, right? And
Yeah.
her
Well, she's not a
determination.
quitter, right? Like
Yeah.
everything from the wolf dude to gardening to
Yeah.
parenting the wolf kids, she doesn't quit. She doesn't
Yeah,
give
yeah.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about those kids. Let's talk about Yuki, aka my own daughter,
Yeah.
because I also have a wolf child. Apparently, I didn't realize. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way she, when she's grumpy, turns into a wolf. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've seen my kid do that a bunch of
Literally
times.
turn into a wolf.
Yeah, literally.
She ever growled at you?
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, 100%.
Yeah.
The difference between her and my kid is like she's very confident, ambitious, determined.
Yeah.
My kid has some self-esteem issues in that regard, so
Okay.
she's not that quite that way, but she is aggressive and feisty in that
Yeah.
same way.
You also don't have to hide her from the rest of the world.
No.
Not at all.
No,
She
no.
Kind of a big
loves
one.
being on
Yeah.
display. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
But I love the fact that like when, you told me, you know, she's the kid that goes to school instead of bringing a jewelry box, she brings
Yeah.
a thing full of
Bones and like pieces of skulls,
Old
and
bugs.
old
Yeah.
bugs. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
got a collection of gross nature shit. 100%,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's so cute.
Not to mention, when she picks up the snake, I'm like, that's my daughter too. I don't know if she would pick up a snake,
Yeah.
but definitely bugs and worms and like
Or a
weird
frog.
shit, frogs.
Yeah.
Right away, she's like, let me hold it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I also was the dad that at first I was like, nah, and now I'm like, there's no reason for you not to hold that frog.
Yeah.
Pick that frog up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So what's interesting about Yuki is she's only really confident, ambitious, and determined at first. And then when she gets in school and decides to kind of lean more into humanity, she flips, right?
Yes.
And actually, the kids do this simultaneously.
do,
They
yeah.
both
Yeah.
flip, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Which actually we can get into Ame now when we're talking about that. So
Sure.
he is that meek little kid at first, right? He's getting beat up by all the animals and kind of bullied and shit by kids at school.
But
And-
that's the thing, right? Because of their both lived experience.
Yeah.
Yuki is having a great time learning what it's like to be a kid in school.
Yeah.
Ami is having an awful time.
Yeah.
Right? Feeling isolated.
Well, he was
and-
already meek, like from
Yeah.
birth. They established that right when
Yeah.
he was born.
Yeah.
Also, here's the thing: when was that kid like conceived?
Yeah, it
Because
was like,
we saw Yuki being conceived, whether we
Yes.
wanted to or not, and then we didn't even know she was pregnant. Dad dies. Next scene, there's two kids.
No. There's a scene where they're walking together and Yuki's on top of Dad's shoulders, and you see Mom's pregnant belly.
Okay, it was subtle enough that I was like, "What?" When
Yeah.
they showed the second kid.
They,
yeah.
they were
Yeah.
rushing through that part of the story, like
well,
you said.
as
right?
we know, because
Yeah.
90% of it was a montage.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ame has this like feeling about the wolves being misaligned, which is kind of a theme in the story. Not a big theme and not a well fleshed out theme. More of like a hey, we know that this is a thing.
Yeah.
We'll drop it in there.
Society doesn't like wolves.
But they didn't get into it. It didn't become a part of the plot at all.
He brings it up, and then they're just like, okay.
In fact,
we're
it
done.
seemed like a lot of the characters were forcing it to be brought up. Like even the mom was asked the kid, like, "Do you hate wolves now?" When the kid got scratched by Yuki,
Yeah.
and he's like, "No."
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is everyone making this a big deal when it doesn't seem to be part of the story at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Right?
was a strange one.
It was strange.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Ame figures it out bit by bit, and then he has like this is another weird thing: is his transition happens from a little head injury because he falls in the river, hits his head, and from that moment onward, he's a different kid.
Yeah. He doesn't actually even
Yeah.
remember how it all happened.
Exactly,
Right.
right?
He's like, why are we here right now? What just happened?
And
Yeah.
and from that point onward, he's a little wolfy.
Yeah.
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 And he also, I would say, becomes arguably more of a main character than Yuki.
For
yeah,
sure.
a little bit.
The
But
second
like,
half, Yuki's whole thing is basically just her and was it Sohei?
Yeah.
It was their little like friendship, romance blossoming,
Yeah.
him accepting her kind of thing, her accepting herself.
yeah, they're shipping each other.
The rest of that last half was like, what the fuck's gonna happen with Ame?
Yeah. And what's kind of strange about that too is that the movie is narrated by Yuki.
Yes.
Wouldn't it have been interesting for it to have been narrated by Ame instead?
Oh,
Or
that,
if
yeah,
it switched.
If it
Yeah.
switched.
Oh,
yeah,
that would've been
like
sick,
switched
actually.
back and forth. Because, yeah, I think Ame is kind of taking a lot after his dad. That's heavy-handed, and that's
Yeah.
shown in character's design.
He brings it up
But,
a bunch of times
yeah.
too, though. He's like, I just wanted, when they meet that shitty old wolf, he's like,
Yeah.
I just wanted to be my dad.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, my heart, bro.
But that's the thing, right? Even like when I was working with as a CYW,
Yeah.
right? Like a lot of the time, especially kids who have divorced parents and they're living with their mom,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like they want to connect with their father or whatever parent, so
sure.
they start trying to emulate them in certain ways, right? Or like,
Yeah.
I wanted to be, a doctor or a football player if that's what their parents like or
Yeah.
do, right? So that totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But the thing that my interpretation of when Ame fell in the water is that he was already becoming more wolf
That's
because
true.
he was, he caught that bird. He was
Yeah.
saying that I'm getting more confidence, and it's just that was his trajectory all along.
Yeah,
right?
you're right. You're right.
He was already going there, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say we can probably all agree on is the character growth on those kids is fucking primo.
Yeah.
As far as movies go, like the way they grew.
Yeah.
Sometimes unexpectedly. Like I
Yeah.
didn't expect Yuki to turn on a dime there.
Yeah.
They didn't give that to you at all until it started happening, right?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, and he was kind of just thrown in there kind of randomly, but I liked Sohei as well, like his
Yeah.
influence that he had
Yeah.
and helping Yuki. What I will say is I thought for sure he was also a wolf child.
And it gives you a little bit of that, eh? Like you're kind of hoping for it.
When he goes in and immediately smells her,
Yeah.
I was like, this kid's
exactly.
got a good nose, wolf nose.
Exactly. But also think about this: the girl who leapt through time, the dude in that film was also
So
a time traveler.
skipper. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it stood to reason in this
Yeah.
film.
I thought I was waiting literally up until the final scene of them together with
Yeah.
the curtains blowing and she reveals her.
Yeah.
I'm like, here it comes. He's gonna reveal
So-
himself now too.
I think they wanted you to think that. I think
Yeah.
that's intentional.
You think that's yeah?
It has to be.
Yeah.
You don't have him walk into class with a good nose and smell the wolf on her without knowing how people are going to interpret that.
That
Yeah.
pisses me off then.
Really?
Why?
Yeah, because that's a missed opportunity.
I actually like that they didn't
No.
take it there because if they took it there, I feel like that whole movie, the predictability of the film would have been even more.
Yes.
than
But
it
why are
already
you doing
was.
it then? Just
Agreed.
give it to us.
Because I like no. I like when you work on assumptions, right? Because if you make people assume certain things and
Yeah.
you don't give it to them, then it's just like, there you go, you little fucker.
No,
allows
that only works if the thing you do give me is
Yeah.
also interesting.
Yes, and this is interesting.
You can't give me a red herring,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
like the thing you actually give me is nothing.
Well, the reason that I
But
liked
I
it is
like
because
that.
it gave me a chance to use my brain a bit in a movie that otherwise wasn't doing that.
That's also
Do
true.
you see what I mean?
That is also
that
true.
is not accolade, man.
No, but this movie needs some wins. It
Yeah.
needs a W, for God's sake.
No,
Yeah.
man.
But I also think that it was nice because it shows the character of Sohei, right? Like it shows that he's like, I knew all along, and it's fine. And,
it's
you know
sweet.
what?
Yeah, I still liked it.
I actually really like you, and I'm an awkward kid, and I
Yeah.
don't know how to show it other than be around and bring you things.
Hey, he's like, hey, Yuki, I know your mom fucked a wolf, and like when we get older, I'm down to.
Listen, I will say it was not in that way, but like the scene was still sweet.
Yeah.
And I think it
Yeah.
still did what it was supposed to do. I think if what you're saying is true,
Yeah.
that they were intentionally trying to make you think Sohei was a wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all we got instead was him saying, "Yeah, I'll fuck you later."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a good enough like twist for me.
Okay,
You know what? I
let's,
feel like we're still hung up on like our Inuyasha episode from back in the day
Well,
about
I
like
mean,
you
dude,
and
there's some bestiality here. There's some
Shit.
bestiality there, of course.
This is the most direct bestiality we've had since. Well, I mean,
Monster Musume, bro.
No,
no.
Monster Musume is not bestiality.
those are like fantasy creatures.
They're
okay.
fantasy creatures.
This
Yeah,
is
you
one that
can't.
you can go see
Yeah.
in Muskoka.
The other difference too is that they did fuck. Monster Musume.
They didn't
No
really.
fuck.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, let's get ahead of ourselves here because this is actually a good opportunity to bring up another character who I was going to talk about more in plot. But you know, the grandpa.
Grandpa, old man.
Nira.
So I have a theory about him that I
Yeah.
also think they wanted me to have and then didn't deliver on. That he's sensei.
Oh, that would be
Because as
fucking
soon as I
dope.
saw him, dude, I'm
Yeah.
like, that guy's a wolf. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
And the way he latches onto their family, the way he helps them.
Yeah.
The way he understands the
Stands,
landscape,
yeah.
the nature of
you know what I
everything.
mean?
That would be. Oh, dude, that just blew my mind.
Right? And then not to mention she shows up to deliver food for everybody.
Yeah.
Where's grandpa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not there. He's out in the woods somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Right?
That would be so
Sensei's
fucking
old.
dope.
Not, and here's the thing.
Would be. But it isn't
No,
because
I like
they didn't
it. It's
do
canon. It's canon.
But here's one thing I want to ask you guys is that at the end, I wanted to pay attention when we watched the end of the movie because I wasn't quite sure about this, and then I fell asleep because I'm a tired boy.
Sure did.
Did you see Sensei, did you see Grandpa after Sensei died in the movie at all?
No, you don't. This is what I'm saying. That's why it makes sense.
Did you ever see them in the same room?
Bro.
But so I was actually gonna say too and comment on that because I really liked Nagasaki, like like Gramps, and I wish I saw more of their relationship and him like fostering.
You did. You just didn't know you did.
But that's the thing. If that's the case, holy fuck, does this movie make it that much better?
I really liked it too. And again,
Yeah,
Jay, I'm
it's
sorry
the
to
case.
disagree with you again, but I like that they didn't deliver in the end. I like that they left it up to me
Yeah.
to make that correlation.
But I fucking love that.
Yeah.
I will say, like, maybe they gave...
I'm speaking for Jay. He likes it too.
Maybe they gave just enough of that for me to kind of be okay with it and like, accept, like, that maybe was actually intentional. But,
Yeah.
like, if it wasn't,
Yeah.
like, it's trash, man.
Yeah.
What a missed opportunity. Just same thing. Like, if it wasn't, like, if it was intentional that they were
Yeah.
trying to push Sohei as a
You're right,
wolf,
because with
you
Sensei...
fumbled that then. You had a great idea in
Yeah.
your hand and you
Yeah.
could have executed it. Literally, give us one extra bit of confirmation that Nirasaki is Sensei and like make it obvious that this is intentional
Yeah.
and I'm on board.
Yeah.
That is a fucking awesome plot point.
Yeah.
But I because the rest of this movie feels fumbled in some ways,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can give them that
Well,
confidence.
and maybe the difference is because I noticed it and picked it up on my own. I was able to watch the rest of the movie with
Feeling
it as
that.
truth. Exactly.
I didn't pick up on that
And now
at
you're
all.
only figuring it out now.
After the fact.
Right. So it's yeah. That's probably why.
for sure.
I still like it.
It's great, right?
I love it. I love the
I'm
idea.
good at coming up with theories on movies, right? I come up with some good ones.
Or helping give these movies something.
Some of them, yeah. Okay.
You're being just a fucking curmudgeon today.
No, he's being complimentary to me,
Yeah.
No,
which is
no.
rare.
No, not allowed. It's not the point. It's not the reason you're sitting on this side and not on that side.
Isn't your goal to make me like these movies?
Yes.
So let him
and-
give me the W.
No, I'm confused now.
Yeah, okay.
I confused myself.
Okay, let's move on and talk about the plot.
anyway.
Okay. We've covered a lot of it, so we can probably breeze through most of it. So we
Yeah.
know it starts off with the girl. She's in school.
Yes.
She meets a wolf dude who is like the dreamiest fucking wolf you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's ultra dreamy.
Especially that scene when he's changing.
Yeah. We get a massive montage of them learning to like love each other, and then he does this big reveal, and he's like, "Oh, make sure you keep your eyes closed." And she's like, "Okay, I'm looking now." Yeah. And just opens her eyes and watches him transform into a wolf.
Yeah, but wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, yeah, 100%.
You know, you tell me to close my eyes for like a few minutes. Like, there's something obviously happening, so I'm gonna look.
I mean, I actually not sure that I would. I mean,
Yeah, I guess
you might respect the person you're learning to love and
I
just
guess
do what
that's
they
true.
ask. You know what I mean? Like
Maybe.
it depends
Yeah.
on how long I've known them.
Yeah.
Depends on how long I've known
Fair
them.
enough. Okay, then he explains that like the classic werewolf stories are a myth, right? Like they're more like normal people who do wolf things when they transform, but they keep human morals and values, and they're not just out there murdering people.
Yeah.
Like that's not how werewolves work in this world. And then they fuck, and the way he lays her down is so sweet and sensual.
And I just
Yeah.
will never understand why he had to be a wolf in that scene.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't full wolf. He was wolf man.
Why did he have to be any % wolf in that scene?
It's not like we forgot.
No,
Not at all.
You know
Yeah.
what though? I mean, here's the thing. At the end of the day, we don't see the actual act of it. So maybe
He just switched back
You know
real
what,
quick.
though, dude?
He's just switched back real quick.
The silhouette of his wolf head laying down her human body was more uncomfortable, I think, to be honest with you, than
He
seeing the
did
act.
not need to be a wolf.
Yeah.
That was for the furries.
Yeah.
It's okay, furries.
Yeah.
Mikey's one of you.
I'm not. I'm not
Closeted.
But,
Closeted.
But I am an ally.
He's interested.
Yeah. Whatever floats your boat, as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah. Okay, so then we get a baby, a little wolf kid. I'm not sure if we know at this point yet that it's Wolfie or not, but it doesn't matter because he's such a fucking good dad, dude. He takes fucking care of them. And I love that, dude.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's dead. Just lying in a drainage ditch. And you're
Went
right.
out-
That
went
was
out-
so sad, man.
Went out, and,
that
went out,
was
and
the
funnily
boast.
went out hunting for them.
Yeah, he picked up this like magnificent pheasant.
Which Ame later catches right before he falls into the river.
I don't think it's the same bird, but same vibe.
It was a big bird.
Yeah.
Big, colorful bird.
Yeah.
That whether it was the exact same species, there was definitely correlations
Yeah,
being
sure.
drawn.
Yeah,
Totally.
for
Yeah,
sure.
100%.
But I mean that was a tradition, right? Like you saw that, like when Yuki was born, like he went and got the pheasant,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
he's going out again. But like, yeah, that scene is still the heaviest.
So
I
sad,
think,
dude.
in
And
the
she's
whole
crying
thing.
and screaming, and the garbage man. But I'm like, what do you say to garbage man? That's my father of my baby. You're throwing into the garbage truck. You
I
can't
thought
yell
she would,
that.
yeah, I mean, they didn't give you any dialogue, which was
Yeah.
effective to add the drama to the scene. Being like
what do you
this,
say?
This bystander looking from across
It's like
the bridge.
that's my. Well, you could say that's my dog.
That's my dog. Yeah,
Yeah, that's my
what you
dog.
could,
Like-
but you're not thinking straight. And here's
Yeah.
the thing: if you start yelling like "That's the father of my baby," you're in a facility now. You
yeah.
know what I mean? You can't be yelling
You're
at a
just gonna
garbage.
like, what the fuck, and
Yeah.
then toss it in the garbage
Exactly. That got me in the feels, dude. Okay, so then time passes like 3 or 4 years, I think, and we have 2 kids now, and they're like kind of figuring out this realm of being wolves and children at the same time, right? The way they transform at first, and the hair is
Yeah.
shaking, and that wolf face. I thought that was kind of cute.
I
And
love when she like runs around and like she's whining, throws a little temper tantrum, and then she like runs around the room and then comes back.
yeah, that's my child.
Yeah.
I experienced that in real life. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't like that.
You didn't like that?
That was like
Yeah.
peak. That was like peak. Like I don't like this design choice for these
Sure.
little kids running around.
It was also a moment of heavy-handedness in the
Yeah.
wolf/child like storyline.
Yeah, and not to mention, I felt like it was maybe a little early to start giving us the whole like, oh, when they get riled up or when they get emotional, they can't help but transform. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was way more effective when you saw that reveal when she claws Sohei's ear. I was like, part of me wishes that like the story had been worked out and set up in a way that was the actual first time you see her succumb to her emotions and turn into a wolf. She had already done it 1,000 times as a little girl over smaller things like, oh, I can't go here, I can't do this, or oh, I'm being a little brat.
I don't know. I don't think I agree with you because it's
It
like
made me numb.
because here's the thing. In that moment when she goes after Sohei's ear, she's cornered. She's not cornered in any of the other scenes.
Well, here's my reasoning
Right?
for disagreeing with you is that like she goes through this kind of like situation where she at first can't handle her emotions and she transforms involuntarily. Then she begs to go to school, promises she can keep it under wraps,
Yeah.
does a great job for years, and then succumbs in this moment, and that's why she's so emotional about it. She can't speak in the principal's office. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to have that rise and fall and rise again of
She
the
has to make the
transformation-
promise, which means
Yeah.
that it has to have already happened.
Exactly.
That's why I'm saying, like, I wish the film, plot-wise, had been set up so that her scratching the boy's ear was the first time. I know it can't work with the story. You'd have
Yeah.
to change so much of the
Yeah.
story, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, seeing the kids lose, their temper or get grumpy or whatever and transform, it made it less impactful when she does get cornered and scratches the boy. I'm like, here it comes. She's
Yeah,
gonna do it. It was just too predictable for me.
Yeah,
At that point.
predictable. I agree.
But I
Yeah.
feel like that's not how it would work in real life, though, because kids aren't like that, right? Kids are exactly like how they were portrayed. Like they throw temper tantrums. They want to get their needs met in a certain way, so that's how they communicate because they
But
don't
for
know how
that to
be...
trigger their transformation, I just thought was like,
Yeah.
It didn't
Okay.
bother me in the same way.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
liked that rise and fall, that ebb and flow of her transformation situation.
I just
Actually, I, feel
remember
like Jordy should be sitting here, and you should go
In
sit
this
over
movie,
there.
maybe.
I
man, yeah.
just remember seeing her scratch his ear, and I'm like, that should have been the first time
Yeah.
that she loses it.
Sure.
I thought that would have been a very dramatic moment.
To me, it was
still
dramatic
was.
again in the way
Yeah.
that she betrayed herself and her promise.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
and that made it dramatic to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
so
we got to
let's
wrap up soon. So.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, things are risky in town, so they have to move right out into the middle of nowhere. Yeah, they move to the boonies, and I love that house. Right.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I love
that
it,
is
and
a
I
very
think,
nice
to be
house.
honest with you, I've seen it before. It kind of had Totoro vibes to me. Of
course.
Yeah.
and I'm sure that's not intentional. That's just the way houses look in the boons in Japan.
Yeah.
But it was nice. We meet old grandpa, and we already established that I think he's sensei.
Yep.
And yeah, the kids are all now settling in, right? And like, here's something interesting too: is she lets her kids just run around like wild wolves. And in my head, as a father, I'm thinking like, I get that they're wolves, but they're also kids, and like baby wolves probably die in the wild. I'm not gonna let my baby wolf kids just run off in the woods by themselves, especially because they have no pack. They're lone baby wolves, and
there's
as we
bears.
know
Yeah,
very
there's
well,
bears.
Mikey Lone wolves can be taken out. Am I right?
Okay, so for our
Am I right?
listeners and viewers, there's this little question I always ask.
Mikey
So,
thinks he could kill a wolf if it's not with its pack.
yeah, a lone
I think
wolf,
Mikey dies.
a lone
Anyways.
wolf with a big survival knife.
Yeah.
I think I could take one.
Anyways, these kids are like lone wolves in the wild, and I'm like, that's not safe whether they're wolves or not. So that struck me as an odd choice for the mom to just let them run around like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, mom is also trying to figure out how to raise a wolf
You're right.
and a child, and she's doing it in two separate ways, right? Like she has that book on like what wolves do, but they're not wolf or child.
Yeah.
They're wolf and child.
And to be
right?
fair, I don't blame her. I just, as a parent myself, that's not a choice I would make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just crazy. This plot point hinges on the fact that they're wolves. Crazy.
Weird, yeah.
Crazy how I got caught up
or
on that.
or culturally, culturally,
so-
it could be different.
We're at this new house. She's got a garden and learning because they're in the middle of nowhere, right? There's not really a grocery store, it seems. That you have to garden to eat, right?
Yeah.
Out there. And she sucks at it, as we know from the 3 or 4 montages about her sucking at it. And then people from the village start helping out, right? Everyone's, and this is also a kind of a theme in the movie is the growth of community and the finding your place. They clearly didn't belong in the city. They clearly belong out here. Everything works better for them, right?
Yeah.
And then Yuki is being a little fucking brat and testing them. She starts transforming and showing up as a wolf in front of all the villagers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you fucking little bitch, man. Because that's something my daughter would do too. To be
Yeah,
honest
that's
with
what they do.
Yeah.
They limit test. Kids do that. It's great.
and there's like a cognitive dissonance element here as well too, because everyone saw a wolf, but they're all like, no, that's a dog.
Yeah.
And then even later on with Sohei, he's like, no, it was a wolf.
Yeah.
Even though he kind of knew deep down inside.
He knew all
yeah,
along,
of
yeah.
course he knew.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, everyone's getting all comfy. Mom gets a job at the conservation area, and we meet that old fucking shitty wolf. And do you think that was just a wolf?
Yes.
Because here's
Yeah.
the thing: is the wolf kids are able to talk to just animals, aren't they?
I think so.
So you'd think
when they go
that-
wolf form, I
Form,
feel like
yeah.
they can
so
communicate.
she's talking to him, and this wolf does nothing. But then later on, you see just Ame show up in half wolf form, and I think they probably had a little conversation there.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't think that was a shifter wolf.
No, I agree.
No,
Yeah.
I think that timber wolf is just a wolf. But the other thing though is, I can't remember specifically, but wasn't it always in captivity?
Yeah,
whole
that's what
time.
they
Like
said.
it
It was
was-
bred in captivity.
Yeah, it was born and bred in captivity, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't have the same sense.
Yeah.
Of what it's like to be in the wild. So,
But it would still teach Ame maybe a lesson of what he doesn't want to end up.
Totally.
Yeah, that's
and it
also-
triggered his.
that's
That
also true.
triggered him turning into more wolf, even more so, right? Like,
Yeah.
because he's
Yeah.
That was cool. Okay, so what's cool is like at this point again, I talked about community growth. Everyone's kind of meeting their people. Do you know what I mean? So like Yuki meets her dude, and it's weird, but it's clearly like that's your guy. You know what I mean? And same with the mom. She's meeting all these people. She's like part of a community. There's like some other moms there. She's getting some support. And then Ame meets his dude, and it's Sensei. And he realized everyone's kind of finding their place.
Yes. Yeah.
It was a nice way to kind of wrap this all up. We talked briefly about that big fight that Yuki and Ame have because they choose their paths, and neither of them choose the paths we thought they would choose.
No.
And then they have this big fight about it, right?
Because they
Yeah.
want each other to choose each
this
other.
as-
They're
Exactly.
their same path. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They never resolve that.
No.
Because that's the last time I think they even see each other.
Yeah, they just become estranged from each other, right? But I don't know. It's interesting, right? Because they're the only two wolf children left.
Yeah.
And, one wants to be human, one wants to be a wolf, right?
And so mom had an opportunity to accept Ame's path. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, she accepts Yuki's path. We know this kind of like from the way the story goes. But Yuki and Ame never had a chance to reconcile and accept
Mm-hmm.
each other's paths, even though Yuki is narrating the story from, we assume the future.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it would have been so easy for her to mention it or throw a scene in there at the end. You know what I mean? Like,
Just to say something like I'm proud of him or like anything.
or even see Yuki or see Ame in the distance in wolf form up on the mountain and have a big stupid smile like her mom or something. You know what I mean? Like,
or she just hears the howl. I don't
something.
know. Yeah.
They just left that out completely. And that kind of bothered me because that's closure that I feel like
Yeah.
we need, to be honest with you. And we didn't get it.
But it doesn't happen in real life. Some people are estranged from their families.
Yeah, but this movie needed it.
Is this
Did
real
it, though?
life?
Yeah.
Is this movie supposed to
Do
be real
werewolves
life?
exist in real life?
Yo, wolves are cool, man.
Yeah.
I would totally be a werewolf.
Yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much the end of the movie, man. I
Yeah.
feel like I got to the end. Like,
Yeah, it's
there's no final scene. Like, there's no closure.
I think there was a little bit for Yuki's side. And
during the storm, Ame runs out into the
Yeah.
forest, and
Yeah.
the mom chases after, and
You're right. Yeah.
you know, she
Yeah.
encounters the bear,
Yeah.
and you know, I think the bear scene was like an interesting one for her because I think she was still kind of grappling at that point with like the danger of the forest and whether or not it was a safe place or a good place for Ame to be.
Well-
so for her to face down a very scary thing like a bear,
Yeah.
and then to see the reveal that the bear is got its cubs and is not going
Yeah.
to attack her and is
Yeah.
just living peacefully, I think that's like catharsis for her in a symbolic kind of way.
I had a different
Yeah.
interpretation of that scene because
Okay.
really a mama bear and her cubs is going to fuck you up if it
Yeah,
comes across you in
yeah.
the woods. So my thought was at
it
this
didn't.
point, because at this point Sensei's died and Ame is now the guardian of the forest,
Yeah.
and he's basically told all those animals like, don't fuck with my mom.
Well, the other thing though
That's
too, I think.
Yeah, I know, but that's how it came into my
Ame is
head.
holding forest
Yeah.
council with the bears.
Well,
That's my mummy.
Well, how do the
Yeah.
animals communicate? Maybe telepathically. Maybe
yeah.
he just said
Yeah.
like,
Or the different
Leave my mom alone.
knowledges. But I also think though, the end piece where she finally accepts that it's okay for him
Yeah.
to be a wolf, like
I assume that's the scene where the Google review I read,
Yeah.
the person cried. I assume it's that scene.
yeah.
what?
That she accepts her kid and lets her kid go off to the mountain as the guardian of the forest or whatever.
She, well, she doesn't. She doesn't. I mean, she's still screaming for him, crying
Yeah.
until he gets to the top and howls, and then she's okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I assume that's the scene that triggered the tears of the Google
It was
reviewer.
a weird one though.
It's a weird one.
Is it weird though? Because it's like if you're the mom who like you want your kid, she thinks that she's still Ame's 10 years old.
Yeah.
Right. Like in humans, 10 years is very, very young.
She even says that. She's like, I don't care if a 10-year-old wolf is an adult. You're my kid. She says that to him, right?
Exactly, right? So, but he is technically an adult, and that's heavily handed
Yeah.
and given to you by the dad in that dream sequence, right?
Yeah.
So,
It is a weird moment for her to turn because she like literally almost died in the woods. He carried her back to civilization,
Yeah.
put her on the ground, and she's like, "No, I can't accept it. No, I can't accept it." And something about him standing in the distance.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But by
Towards
the
the
time
mountain.
he runs away to the time he gets to the top of the mountain, she's good with it now.
Yeah.
That felt quick.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't feel ready for that moment.
It would have
happen
made more
for her.
sense if it was right away after he put her on the ground and is like, "Mom, I'm going to the mountain," and she's like, "I understand now."
That
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. When she was
Okay.
still crying after him, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Stop!"
but you're
He's
but You're not
gone. Yeah.
rational. You would not be rational in that moment.
I guess,
Sometimes,
sure.
right? Like
You're probably right.
You're,
You're
not
probably right.
rational.
It just I don't know. It
Yeah,
just hit me
and I
weird.
also think that Yuki got a little bit of closure when mom is proud of her when you see her in like the picture of her when she's a little older.
Well,
in,
and
like,
her
high
closure
school.
too is she shows her wolfness to
Yeah.
Sohei, and he's like, "I knew, and
Yeah.
I'm cool with it."
Yeah,
that's her
accepted.
closure. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Okay.
All right, so final thoughts.
I mean, it's
Ratings?
heavy-handed with the emotions, heavy-handed with the wolf stuff,
Yeah.
very heavy-handed with the montages, heavy-handed all around, dude.
yeah.
That kind of made it hard to, and not to mention, like, she fucks a wolf, and it makes it hard to take any of this movie seriously. I think being a dad and watching the parenting parts of it
Yeah.
had a huge impact on me probably scoring it maybe higher than Jay.
Oh yeah,
We'll see.
probably. We'll see.
And that is a factor. So I'm going to throw it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised. Actually, I thought you would have given it a little bit higher, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, because again, it's one of those movies that are. It's so light and kind of Ghibli-ish to a sense, right?
I see that, but it's not magical
Yeah.
enough for Ghibli. It's not
Yeah.
quirky enough. And like the emotional side of it and like the story of it wasn't good enough for me to score it any higher.
Well, fine.
yeah.
Go fuck yourself. Okay, sorry, Jay. What about
God.
you, buddy?
If you didn't like that,
Yeah. Character growth was the saving grace. I'll tell you that much. I'm not used to that in anime movies.
I agree with Jordy. I think some aspects of I would say 50% of the art was amazing.
Yeah.
And the character development I thought was quite strong.
Yeah.
The character writing in this was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't like the wolf handling
Yeah.
in general, artistically, thematically, story-wise. I thought it was clunky, and like I said at the beginning, too much of this movie I thought hinged on the wolf aspect, and if I didn't like that, I generally didn't like the movie. So I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 10.
The tables have fucking turned.
Yeah.
You might say, I'm a Yuki and you're an Ame. And we didn't go in the direction you thought we were going to go.
Yeah. Yo, you know what, man? Have you ever tried putting your shoe or your foot in a wolf's shoes or paws?
I don't think he's ever tried to do that.
You should try that sometime.
I'm gonna struggle. I'm gonna struggle because I'm a human being.
Maybe like running a mile in those paws.
In wolf paws, huh?
Wolf paws. And then you can maybe empathize a little bit.
I empathize with Hana. That's about it.
Jesus Christ.
The least wolfish character in the entire movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this movie gets a 7 out of me, though.
Okay.
Right? I do enjoy it. I like it. It is a little long. That's my only qualm
I
with
agree.
it.
It
Feels long too.
Yeah.
It feels drags.
Yeah.
Right, and I think they could have condensed it a little bit more and been a little leaner.
Yeah.
Few less montages.
Yeah, and I also think
A
too
few.
that if they did give me more of old Gramps, right, like
As
if
Sensei?
as Sensei, or
My
like
theory that I created.
or like just even the relationship that they were building,
Yeah.
right, just kind of seeing him maybe even interact with the kids would have been kind of
Well,
nice.
you did because he helps Ame figure out
Well,
his place
yes.
on the mountain.
Yes, I that would have been fucking cool
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, all right. Let's wrap
That's
up.
it. We
Yeah,
did
that's
it.
it.
That's a wrap on Wolf Children. Maybe we'll take a break from Hosoda for a little while, but
Maybe we'll take
Yeah,
a break from
definitely.
like anthropomorphic animals for a little while.
that's for damn sure.
No, we're going straight into Beastars.
I'm busy that week. I told you already. I'm not here.
All right, Jay, where can people find you?
At hanger.91 on Instagram and hanger91.bigcartel.com. I will absolutely not have Wolf Children merch.
You don't want to draw furry fan art?
Or you should.
hold your breath, guys.
You should, and then draw it in a way that you think would be aesthetically
Yeah,
pleasing.
reinterpret it, Jay.
Yeah.
Oh, I would do a much better job.
I believe it.
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
All right. What about you, Jordy? Where can
I'm
we find
at reaching in on Instagram and come say what's up to me.
Yep.
I'll say what's up back.
And I'm Mikey Lee, and you can find me on Instagram at Korean Barbecue 86. I've got Cats, which is somewhere around here.
Causing trouble.
Causing trouble, yeah. And I've got toys on there. So
Yep. And we are at Shmanime Pod on all socials. Come check us out. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you want.
Yeah.
And Anime Shmanime on YouTube. But that's probably where you're watching us.
yeah, help us out.
Also, I don't know when this drops, but we're probably going to be going to Anime North.
That's
Yeah.
worth mentioning.
there's
anybody
a good chance.
anybody who's doing convention stuff, I don't know if we'll be inside. We might kind of just be hanging around, but
we'll be around, though.
we want to meet and talk to people and
Yeah.
chat with people and
Yeah.
ask you guys stuff, and so that should be coming up pretty soon. And then
Tell Jay that he needs to, maybe put on a wolf suit.
Tell us what we should cosplay as. Tell us what we should cosplay as.
He should cosplay as fucking a wolf's child.
naked wolf man ready
Yeah.
to bone.
Yeah. Huge furry wolf dong hanging out. All right.
that
Goodbye,
Red Rocket,
everybody.
everybody.